And so I must greet everyone that joined us tonight for this webinar. Today, it's International Women's Day. We're celebrating that. And we decided to just run away from our natural habitat at Omnos for functional testing and look outside and see what else might be preventing us from reaching our full potential. So we know that genes might impact our mood, our tendency to depression or anxiety. We know that food, environment, sleep, relationships, all of that impact our full potential and our health. But what about the way we process emotions? Are we paying attention to that? So to shed some light in this subject and to bring a theme of bringing us limiting beliefs as a main theme, we've invited Cristiana Santos, that is our guest. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Let me introduce to the audience briefly. We need to be brief because she has a long CV. So Cristiana is a clinical psychologist. She has an MBA in, correct me if I'm wrong, entrepreneurship?
Yeah, and marketing.
And marketing.
And MBA, yeah.
She's an expert in EMDR. She works on one-to-one. She works with groups of women. She works for companies. She has her own company, and she kindly agreed to come here and talk us about what she called the glass ceiling within us. So I would like to start. Why did you bring this theme and why this title when we asked you to talk on International Women's Day?
Okay, thank you so much, Karina, for this lovely introduction. I would just like to say that I don't work exclusively with women. I work with men and women.
Of course, yes. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's Women's Day. It's just
it's Women's Day, and yes, we're very focused.
I know, but I know there are a lot of women that just choose to work with women. I love working with both genders. I love working with people, as long as we're the right fit for each other. So why the glass ceiling within us? First of all, we often, and as you can see by my background, I have that combination of working for the people and with the people in a caring profession. That's how we see therapists and psychologists. But I also have this very oriented business side mind, this entrepreneurial side of mine. And where we talk about corporate world and we talk about glass ceilings and all the struggles of women and men in the workplace. So the combination of these two is actually that we have a glass ceiling within us. And here, what are we talking about and why did I decide to bring this topic today? Is that the glass ceiling within us is whenever you are experiencing a limit, whenever you work really hard to try to achieve something, and that can be, you work really hard in your career, but for some reason you don't seem to progress. You work really hard to get a pay rise, but you reach a certain limit and you can't seem to progress. But that's the same thing in your relationships. You start to see patterns like things start to repeat themselves. It's like every time I reach this level, it seems that I can't go any higher. Mm-hmm. That can be in a relationship, that can be including in your health. Or for example, I can only go to the gym for like 3 to 4 months. And then for some reason I stop. There's something that happens and it stops me. It's like you have this invisible, this glass ceiling within you, that it's not just outside of you, because you have the society one, the corporate world, or whatever you want to call it, the society glass ceiling, the way that they see that you can that they only allow you to go to a certain way, to a certain level. But then you have another one which exists within you that for some reason you're not even aware of it, but you are the one imposing a limit to yourself. And go, ask me, please.
Since you brought this subject in International Women's Day, I was wondering, is there a difference between glass ceilings with men and women, or, yeah?
Yeah. So first of all, we all experience glass ceilings, men and women. Women just experience a little bit more.
And
why is the question?
Yes.
Why do women experience a little bit more? So let's start with International Women's Day. First of all, you were talking about like, oh yeah, what we do here is health and systems. So nowadays we know that actually what we do in therapy and our emotions, they all have an impact on our nervous system. So it all gets stored in your vagus nerve. And if people here know about trauma or talk about trauma therapy nowadays is really, really focusing on the vagus nerve and all the impact that it has in your nervous system.
And so the polyvagal theory as well, right?
Exactly, the polyvagal theory. So it's not only just talk, emotions is not something that you feel in your heart or a thought is just something that happens in your mind. It actually has an impact on your DNA. It has an impact on your neurotransmitters. It has an impact on your hormones. So it is all combined, your body with your emotions, with your thoughts. And I'm not going even to talk about the other sides of it because I'm not an expert on that side. So if we know this, what we know is that we also know that kind of trauma memories stay stored in our cells. They stay in our DNA, they stay in our nervous system. So as everything else, it gets passed on generation through generation to generation. So we're talking about transgenerational trauma. And if we talk about transgenerational trauma, we can see that women, unfortunately, experience more oppression than men. Men have their own things. Men can't cry. Men, we love you, but we know you have your own things, like men can't show emotions, men can cry, men can't fall in love, men can't, there are a lot of things about men, but women just have more. If we think about it, it was like 200 years ago. We couldn't even, do you know that it was only in the 20th century that women were able to get a divorce in Spain? That they were able to, I was on my MBA, I had a woman who said, I was the first woman to be allowed to have a driving license in Saudi Arabia because she's from Saudi Arabia. And you think
that's very meaningful, right?
And you carry that oppression. We have that. So that's why women have more problems speaking up. That's why women have more problems saying no. That's why women have more problems with self-confidence, because it's trauma, not only by what happened to you as a person in your own life since you were born till today, but also that happened through generations and generations. Not only how the women around you raised you when you were a child and how they behave, because you learn a lot from that, but what they also carry on their own. I'm going to say DNA, but
well, there's some pointers there.
Cells that will then go on to you, and that will shape you. So those glass ceilings are limiting beliefs, but they're also unresolved trauma that you carry on from generation to generation. And that's why I'm bringing this topic today. Making sense, or too much too soon?
Yes, no, making sense. But let's dig in on what is a limiting belief?
Okay, a limiting belief is so we have lots of beliefs, and not all of our beliefs are limiting. The ones that are limiting are the ones that kind of have secondary effects. They have a negative impact in your life. For example, if I believe that people are good, do you think that's a limiting belief?
I would say no.
Okay, but if I say I'm not enough, is that a limiting belief?
I would say yes.
Okay, so if I think if I think the weather in Britain is always gray, is that a limiting belief?
Well, I don't like the weather in London that much, but
you don't live in London.
Yes, I don't know. Is it a limiting
well,
belief?
But that doesn't matter. But Do you think
for me, yes, when I think of London, I think of gray skies. Yes.
It is a limiting belief because it will limit your actions. It will limit the way you see things. It will probably, if you believe that the weather in London, where I am currently, is always gray, you probably will never move here because you don't like gray weather. So you're not even going to try it. So limiting beliefs are those that limit us, that kind of lead us to a limited life, because we won't explore our full potential. They're also false. Most of the time they are false. They're usually about us. So for example, if I believe people are good, is that absolutely true? Well, for me, I believe that people are good. They do bad things, but yeah, that's usually a good thing. It's an empowering belief. Limiting beliefs, I'm going to give you a few examples of the most common ones. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm a bad person. I'm not worth it. I'm not lovable, or I'm unlovable. I'm not capable. I'm not as good as everyone else. I'm ruined. I'm inferior. Just to give you a few. Just to give you a few of the most common ones. And these beliefs are kind of core beliefs. So they are really ingrained in your brain from a really young age. And they really shape the way you see the world, the way you see, first, the way you see yourself, the way you see the world, and how you act and what you do in the world.
So how do we acquire a limiting belief, or when during our life do we realize that we have a limiting belief?
Okay, so
two questions.
No, two questions. Yes. Okay. I'm going to start with how do we develop limiting beliefs? We don't acquire them. They don't come in a beautiful package with a brain power. That would be so easy. That would be so easy. So I'm going to explain why it's development, because that's usually people say, hey, yeah, how do I acquire, how do I have a limiting belief? Like, you developed it. So first of all, let's say you don't start by having the limiting belief. You start by having the experience. And usually we start forming our limiting beliefs pre-verbal, when we don't know how to speak. So we only have experiences, and our brain doesn't know how to catalog those experiences. Let's say that you grow up in a household, there's a lot of shouting. Your parents shout a lot. They have a lot of fights. You feel a little bit neglected. And as a child, all you want is attention. All you want is be loved and cared for and everything. You're not getting that because you're not getting what you need, because children, especially till they're like 5 years old, it's all about them. They're not selfish, they're just very centered, and that's a very healthy thing. It's very important for the development of their personality, and it's all about them. So they think it's their fault. Probably you've heard when parents get a divorce, sometimes she'll say, oh, it's my fault. No, it's not your fault. But because at that age, everything it's about them. So if my parents aren't showing me the attention that I need, not that I deserve, because they don't have the idea of deserving, they have the idea of needing, it's because there's something wrong with me. They don't know what it is because they still don't have the language for it. And when you don't have a need that isn't fulfilled, it comes with what? Comes with feelings that you don't have words for. And it comes with sensations on your body. It comes with a tight chest, a tightness on your throat, probably butterflies on your stomach. It depends on the feeling. And you may have a lot of feelings, from fear to all of that. As you evolve and you start and you keep having these repeated experiences, let's say that you go to school and you don't feel you are as good as the other kids. You don't feel like the teacher shows you as much attention as does to the other kids. You feel a little bit like, I'm here, but no one really cares for me. It kind of goes in the same, it kind of hits the same place as that other previous experience that is happening at home. And then around, I would say 10 years old or so, when you already develop a very good language, because when around the 4th grade, that's when you have a better command of the language. That's when you start to learn things like being good enough, being good or bad. Some of us as adults think that I'm not a good person, I'm bad. And they don't say I'm not a good person, they say I'm bad. When they're really being triggered in their trauma, they say I'm bad. As adults, no one believes that you're good or bad, you just are. But as children, the child learns you're bad because it's good, bad, do it, don't do it. It's very black and white. So that, as I was saying, when you develop the language, that's when you start to attach meaning to all of those experiences. And throughout your life, you keep having other sort of experiences that your brain, because now your brain knows that when I have a tight chest, when I have a tightness on my throat, that means that I'm not good enough. And every time I have similar feelings, it kind of puts in the same drawer, that drawer that says that I'm not good enough. When people shout, when people don't care for my needs, it's always I'm not good enough.
So this is so interesting. You're saying that we might not be feeling it, but our body is recognizing a pattern without us knowing, like unconsciously. And so you just keep hitting the nail in the head, and you get repeatedly exposed to the same experience in different ways. And so you develop this limiting belief that then operates from your subconscious, and you have no idea that is there, or do you have a hint that this might be, what is wrong with the limiting belief that we can start to pinpoint them in ourselves?
Okay, so let me just explain this, because I think that this will shed some light on what's going on here. We often think that everything is thought, like we understand things, it's very rational, I choose what to believe. Yes, my dear, you choose as an adult, but there's a lot of programming there that you didn't choose, it's just happening. We have, every day we're flooded with information, more information. Did I say inflammation or information?
Inflammation, but you're at Omnos is a very common word. So.
Information, sorry for that. I think it was looking at you and inflammation came to my mind. Information. We're flooded with information from every place, and our brain can't compute everything. So of course we need to develop shortcuts, because our brain, that's what it does, and it's wired for survival. And you can't be always thinking you can't assess every piece of information. You start creating shortcuts, as we do in everything in our lives. So, and we start developing these shortcuts from a really early age. And sometimes they're not the right ones. But if you are alive, for your brain, it means that they work. Because if you're alive, it worked. And let's not change that, because it worked. That's why you get stuck in a dysfunctional pattern for such a long time, even though you say like, this, I don't want this. Yeah, but it's familiar for your brain. It's the same pattern that always served you, and you are alive, which for your brain, it's proof that it's working. So when we're talking about repeated experiences, it doesn't need to be the exact same experience. It can be, I'm just going to clarify this, it can be feelings, similar feelings, it can be similar thoughts, it can be similar situations. For example, things that happen, every time I go to that place, things, every time I go to my parents' house, or every time I'm surrounded by family, for example. It can be also emotions that are very similar. So sometimes we can be working on a situation that's when you are a child, and at the same time working on a situation of you as an adult, but you just have the same emotion. That's the connection there. That's how your brain made that connection.
Yes, but on my end, what really, and it keeps running in my mind, is so our body recognizes patterns and emotions, and we are not aware of them. So if I go into some, I don't know, cold exposure or heat exposure, and as you said once, your heart rate goes up, but because it's very hot, but you might interpret that as a anxiety, because you believe in yourself as an anxious person.
Yeah,
okay. So
I'm going to clarify that. So The other question that you asked, and I didn't answer that, sorry for that, so I'm going to just pick up on that one, is you can have a limiting belief not knowing that you have it. Okay, you can only, sometimes people come with only the symptoms. And one of the symptoms is, for example, anxiety. Anxiety is one of the most common symptoms. Anxiety is a symptom. Depression is a symptom. Panic attacks are a symptom. Procrastination is a symptom. Having
self-sabotage
is a symptom. Yes, it's a defense mechanism. It's a symptom. So you can have, people always come with the symptoms. They never come with, oh, here's Cristiana, my limiting belief, please fix this. They come with a lot of symptoms. They're like, Cristiana, I'd like to be able to have a better relationship with money. I would like to move forward with my career. There's something here preventing my health from improving. So people always come with symptoms. And then it's my job to find the limiting belief behind it and, of course, fix it, because there are ways to fix this, okay? What you were describing is how this shortcuts in our brain function. So again, our brain is very quick at making judgments, and we can see this, like sometimes we meet someone and we immediately know if we like that person or not, because we've met people with the same traits throughout our life. And if most of those people we liked, okay, I'm going to like you. And if some of those people we didn't like, we won't like you, for example. So people who have panic attacks usually have more panic attacks in summer, because some of the physical symptoms of panic attacks is people start to sweat, they feel heat in their body, they experience increased heart rate, and there's some sort of dizziness. If you look at all of this could all be symptoms of just being exposed to heat, like
exactly.
A hot wave, a heat wave, for example, and you can experience these exact symptoms. And in your brain, because I'm so used to, whenever I feel this is a panic attack, even though it's just 32 degrees outside, your brain will say, right now you're having a panic attack. And even though it wasn't, it's going to create one.
That is amazing. So how do you get to the root cause? Is there like, among all the limiting beliefs, is there like a core one?
Great question. So there are some limiting beliefs, they are stronger than others. Not always we are ready to go straight into the stronger ones. For example, people sometimes are saying things like, I'm a bad person, which is a very strong, or I'm broken. That's the really strong core belief, but they're not ready to say it, because it's very hurt. It hurts. It's very painful to say it, to acknowledge that level of pain. So they say things like, I should have done better, for example, something a little bit more lighter. So we are ready to go to the deeper beliefs. A good limiting belief, when we're trying to find it, it's always very smart. Sorry, this very short, something popped up here. It's always something very short. You always need to think about it as, how would a child say it? Because as I explained before, limiting beliefs, they're formed in your childhood. They're like, they're like 3 words. I usually say they're like 3 words. I am something, or I am not something. That's it. They don't have much more wording than that. They're not affirmations. Okay, they're very core. There are usually 4 types of limiting beliefs. Some limiting beliefs concerned with worth, which are the core ones, the stronger ones. Everything that goes with, I'm not good enough, I'm bad, I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable. Those are stronger than those, for example, of responsibility, or safety, like I'm in danger. Responsibility, like I'm capable. I'm capable is more to do with responsibility, things that I can do or not, more like action. So the core beliefs ones, the ones that are the stronger, are usually the ones related to your worth and values. Okay.
Self-worth.
Yeah.
Or worth.
Worth. You as a person, your esteem as a person. How do you see yourself as a person? Your value as a person. So what do you believe about yourself? For example, if I believe I'm not good enough, I'm not going to. Of course, no one love me. That's why my relationships don't work, because I'm not good enough. Of course, I was going to get a divorce. It was just too good to be true, because in the end, I'm not good enough. Even when things go well for me in life, I believe it's only a matter of time, because I'm not good enough. And at work, maybe I work harder than everyone else, because deep down I believe that I'm not good enough, and it's only a matter of time until people find out. Or I don't even apply to a better job, to a better position, to a promotion or something, because deep down I feel like I'm not good enough. And of course, then we can talk about imposter syndrome that can come out of that belief and everything else. So that's how it shapes us.
Yes. So is there a loophole in this all very well-established scheme of just reinforcing these beliefs? Where's the loophole that we can look and see, oh, this might not be true? When do we, as people that experience limiting beliefs, have a glimpse of maybe I'm not, as you were saying, maybe I'm not bad, or where is this coming from?
Okay, I'm going to describe to you how I know not everyone reaches that level. Okay, not everyone is like, oh, I believe that I'm not good enough, but I know that I am good enough. Okay,
maybe I didn't phrase my question well. How do we start to get a glimpse? For instance, now me after this talk, or if everyone else that is listening will start wondering, what are my limiting beliefs? So can you just give us some pointers? How can they start to identify them?
Yes. Okay. So start with the symptom. A limiting belief always has a symptom. So I'm going to give you an example. Let me just say, and then I can explain if people want me to. I work limiting beliefs with EMDR, and EMDR is a sort of therapy. So I'm just going to say that that's my number one go-to therapy to work with limiting beliefs. It's the most efficient, is the best one, and it works everything at the same time. So I'm just going to leave it there for now. So when you are the first, and I know this because I had to do it for myself. I'm going to tell you a personal story. So I was having a very, very successful career in Portugal, and I was one of the top psychologists in Portugal, radio, TV shows, the whole shebang. And I was feeling that I wasn't good enough. I was doing all of that, always scared of people finding out that I wasn't actually good enough. I felt like this is just too much. This is just luck. What am I doing? And even though on the outside, I looked very, very confident and I was having all of that success, inside, I was like, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And for example, every time that someone would invite me to do something, to do a talk or something, I would feel like, okay, maybe they invited someone else who wasn't available. When I worked on that limiting belief, after a while I realized, okay, this just is just too much pain. It was just, I had to put so much energy in keep moving forward into a part of my brain was saying, I'm not good enough. And the other part was like, well, but maybe I am, because they are inviting me. And you have like this internal fight. So what I did was like, okay, this is just costing me too much energy. In my particular scenario, what started happening was I started getting ill. I would have problems with my voice. I would have headaches. I would have lack of energy. I would always show up. I would procrastinate a lot, preparing things. So that was some of the symptoms. And it started ruining my quality of life. So those were the symptoms. When I start looking at these symptoms, I start like, okay, what is behind this? What do I believe about? What does this say about myself? So that's the question. What does this say about myself? Whenever you're experiencing a symptom in whatever area of your life, like, what does this say about myself? It was like, okay, in the deep down, I don't believe that I'm good enough. I don't believe that why are people even inviting me to do this? So I worked on this. I did my first EMDR therapy, and I worked on this limiting belief, I'm not good enough. After this, what happened was like, okay, I exploded in success, but with pleasure. Like, yes, I was enjoying it. I was loving it. And that's when I moved to London. Like, it was amazing. I became the business psychologist of Land Rover, all fantastic. And after a while, I wasn't happy. And I'm like, okay, a few years have passed and I'm no longer happy. What is happening? I have the job of my dreams. I have the career. I have the time. I have the money. Why I'm not happy? I quit my job. I'm not happy. I feel lost. What's going on here? Start feeling anxious again. So what I didn't know then what was my belief. I was like, what does this say about me? What does it say about me? And I'm like, I don't know. This doesn't say that I'm not good enough because I no longer believe that. So I did my second process with EMDR, and the belief behind it was, I don't deserve. It was too good for me to be true. I moved on from not good enough to I don't deserve. So it was another layer of my life story and of my trauma, was the layer of I don't deserve good things. I don't deserve all of these good things. I don't deserve such a good life. I don't deserve to have this amazing life and all of these things happening to me. And then you work on that layer. I've never worked on a limiting belief that came back. That's another thing. So if you take something out of here, is probably you have a limiting belief limiting your life and what you're trying to achieve. So sometimes it's not you not knowing what to do. It's not your lack of willpower. It's not your lack of force and entrepreneurship. You just have to want it enough and work harder. Sometimes, yes, it's not even self-sabotage. So self-sabotage is just a symptom. There is something on your nervous system that is trying to protect you because it believes that there's something really dangerous. Like, if I truly believe that I don't deserve good things in my life, I'm not going to keep working that job. My joy will disappear from my life. So it's trying to protect me because I deep down believe that I don't deserve. Therefore, let me eliminate the things that are exposing me to the contrary. But I also want you to know that this can be solved, that you can get rid of it completely. And I'm an example of that, of how you can rid of it completely, and it doesn't come back. You can have other layers that you work on, but that one never comes back. And it has, just one thing, has an impact on what you believe. So your mindset, what you think about yourself in life and relationship, it has an impact on your emotional, but also has an impact on your body.
Okay. You said something very interesting, that is willpower. I think that, and this is very personal, but I think when it comes to mental health, we tend to think of it as a thing that we must go through kind of alone. Well, to me, it is being debunked, but it's still out there, right? You are the psychologist. So can we will our way out of a limiting belief? No. So how do we do it?
No. That's another thing. And I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Because we currently live in a culture of coaching and self-development and self-help. And sometimes people feel like there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me because apparently everyone that goes to a seminar with Tony Robbins, and I'm just going because I have experience on this one, and everyone that goes there, they all come back like healed. Everyone comes back healed. And if I don't come back healed, there's something wrong with me. Sweetheart, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just not faking it as well as everyone else, most likely. That's one thing. Or the other thing is, I can't change it. I'm a therapist. I know, as you said, I have a very extensive CV. I've done so many trainings and postgraduates and things on very different approaches in therapy. And I can't do it. I can't do it on myself, because it's not something on your brain in the sense that I need to understand something. Because if it was just that, please, you just read one book. It would be just one book. It's like your washing machine. You read the manual, you either fix it or you buy a new one.
Yeah.
This is not how we work. So we don't have an instruction manual. It's not something that you need to understand. It's something that you need to rewire. And that's why I said in your brain, like physically, in your nervous system, it stays there. It stays in your emotional, it stays in your mind, and it stays on your body. So those 4 things. We need other people. We as therapists, we need other people to do it with us, for us, because we can't do it to ourselves. So if you feel like you've not been doing it on your own, you're normal. You're just a human being. That's okay. That's how it's supposed to happen. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you do need external help. And to properly solve it, no, it's not enough to just practice some affirmations. You can, everything that you do, like practicing affirmations, meditating, will help, because it's like you are better prepared to the work that we can do later on, but you won't change the core belief. It's, imagine a computer. You have a software program. And when you were programming that software, you had some bugs. It happened. So the only way you can fix them is by updating the software. And then you can even upgrade the software. You don't put new apps. You have a software, the running software has some bugs. You don't start creating new apps, new apps, new apps, new apps. No, you just have to update the software. This is what I do. I update your software instead of just giving you new apps. Like, yeah, just breathe this way. Just go do this exercise. Those are just new fixtures, new apps that gives you a sense of control. That's why people like it, because it gives you a sense of control. Like, oh, I can do this and I can do that, and maybe it will change. It will improve, but it won't change the structure, because what you need is software update and ideally an upgrade.
And rewiring.
Rewiring our brain.
Rewiring our brain. Well, we have 10 minutes. I don't know if anyone wants to drop a question. If so, we still have time. The chat box is open. So please, if you want, just leave us a question, and Cristiana is still here for more 10 minutes to answer it. So, limiting beliefs. It's like a rubber band. This is a sentence I captured from one of your talks. What are we not reaching as women because of these limiting beliefs?
We don't go for everything that we feel like we deserve. We shut up. We stay quiet. We stay silent most of the time, because these limiting beliefs, they don't allow us to recognize everything who we are right now, and everything that we can attain, achieve our full potential, because we don't truly believe in ourselves. These limiting beliefs make us believe that we have to stay quiet, stay silent, do not disturb, be seen, not heard. For example,
be seen, not heard. Yes.
Be seen, not heard. Don't make too much noise. Don't make too much of a fuss. People won't like you, because as a woman, think about this. Women are more concerned with people liking them or not. Why? Why are women more concerned with people liking them than men? Think about it.
Good question. Do we have more limiting beliefs? Do we have to prove ourselves?
Okay, so go back to the 19th century. What was key for women's survival?
You need to give me a hand.
Marriage.
Oh, marriage.
Marriage.
Yes. Patriarchy. Oh, yes. So
Not patriarchy. It's marriage. It's marriage.
yes.
It's marriage. You have to be likable and you have to be amenable to be married.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't marry, you won't have an income. Your parents will die. All the money will go to your siblings, to your brothers, male siblings, and you are their ward. They will take care of you because women can't own property. Women are objects. They're like the cattle that belongs to the family.
So when you said in the early beginning that we carry generational trauma, sorry, very complicated word, we are still kind of suffering from that past, although we are so empowered right now. We have so many movements. There's this old talk, but we still suffer this limiting beliefs and this.
Look. If you see a movie from the 50s, it's all about domestic life. It's all about marriage. All the little girls dream of is marriage. Women only joined the workforce in the 80s, 1980. And that's when women started joining the workforce and earning less. And if you see the 9 to 5 film, you see how they were treated. So you have to be liked.
How, sorry to interrupt, we're running out of time. How is the reality of women in business school, for instance? You were there, you were a woman on a man's world until now. How was that experience? Did it trigger your limiting beliefs?
If I didn't have done so much EMDR, probably. So I'm going to tell you, one of the things that I hear a lot in business, and I've worked with big companies like Land Rover and HSBC, and I look like this. I look like a doll. Let's say it like that. I don't look smart in the sense of like, no, I like makeup and I like dressing nice and girly. And they often say, oh, I don't know if you'll be able to cope with this environment because you're too smiley. You're too nice. Of course, because I smile and I'm nice, that doesn't mean that I'm strong. So I'm often underestimated. And then when they see me working and coping with things that they can't cope, I often get the nickname of the assassin with a smile.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You go on from, I don't know if you'll cope with this because you're too nice and too smiley to you are an assassin with a smile. Oh my gosh, everyone's scared of you. You do it without, they don't even know that they should be scared of you. And in business school, it's also the same thing. Unfortunately, I was very, very grateful to be in a business school where the dean was a female, and she was really pushing forward having female representation, but I didn't have one female professor on my business school. I didn't have one female professor on my business school. One.
And to this day, do you know if a woman made it?
They try. There was one woman in the electives, but they're trying. They're doing their best. They're trying. But yeah, women are often underestimated because you can't be feminine and wise and sharp all at the same time. Those are limiting beliefs. Sometimes they're not even our limiting beliefs, but they're the limiting beliefs that also shape our reality, not only ours, but the ones from other people.
Okay, so we have 5 minutes, no Q&A. So
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a very good thing. I think that it means we kind of explain everything and we are covering our bases. Would you like to leave us a message on this particular day?
Yes, I would like to leave a message on this particular day. So because it's International Women's Day, just in case you're watching the recording afterwards, I would say start by, doesn't matter your gender, doesn't matter if you're male or female, start by honoring the women that created the reality where you stand upon. Even if you are a male, right now you must have a wife, a partner, a daughter that can go to school because of all the women that fought for that to happen. You probably have, you can drive a car, you can vote, you have a voice, you can go to work, you can wear whatever you want, you can have experience, sexual experience with whoever you want, as long as you respect personal
consentment.
Consentment and individualities, because of all the women that came before you. You can have a divorce because of all the women that came before you. So the International Women's Day is not about, yeah, women are amazing, you're so strong and cute, and let's just give you some flowers. It's about honoring all the women that fought for us to have all the freedoms that we have today. And then I'm going to ask you as well to take charge, take ownership of your responsibility. Not only the responsibility of shedding these glass ceilings of your own limiting beliefs, but also the responsibility of creating a different future for the future women and men and generations that comes, because every woman will shape a man, because every man has a mom. Good or bad, but every man has a mom. So we need to shape the future for future generations. And it might not be giving them the right to vote, but it might be giving them the right to be girly and still not be underestimated for being girly. Not having a pay gap between men and women, not feeling like they have to please everyone, not feeling that they have to be quiet, not feeling that they're not enough just because they're female, not feeling that they will be judged by how they look, not being afraid of going out at night and be sexually assaulted. So that's also our responsibility. And it starts by changing our beliefs, changing how we stay in the world, so that we create this path for the future generations. So that's my wish for the world today.
That was very inspirational. Thank you for that. So what is amazing, last recap from Cristiana, leaving with this message of hope, right? We are aware, and we are in times that we can actually change. We have the knowledge now that previous women didn't have, or access to it. Someone said beautiful, thank you, on the comments. Some love and appreciation already showing here.
Thank you.
I would like to thank everyone that was present. If you have any specific question for Cristiana, please feel free to reach us or reach Cristiana through her Instagram account.
Yeah.
She is tagged in the post, so you can look for her at our page, our Instagram page. And this is it. Our next webinar will be on the 22nd, and we'll have also an amazing guest. This time is an organization, is the Blue Zones, and they will teach us how to live to 100. So a very interesting theme, and very also female oriented, because women tend to live longer, and we will try to understand why that happens. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Cristiana, for being here. We hope to have you again, and I wish everyone a good night and a wonderful day tomorrow. Bye. Bye, Cristiana. Bye.
Bye-bye.